help her with her presentation. So welcome.
So you can put them on that back table if anybody wants. Sure. And on a business card. And I'll ask my students to come up. So my students are here today around their very busy class schedule. So I'm just going to do my introduction slide first, and then I'm going to go to their slides so that they can share, because it's really their voices I want you to hear. And then I'll back up and we'll talk more about community stuff that my office does. So first of all, we just really want to thank you for inviting us here. And please, if there's any typos in the presentation, please be gentle with me. I'm adjusting to a new prescription, contact lenses, so appreciate y'all. All right. Hi, I'm April Lee. I'm the Assistant Director for the Office of Service Learning and Community Engagement at the University of South Dakota. And I'll let you two come on up, introduce yourselves.
My name is Vermillion.
I'm Jordan Kelly.
And what do you do?
I am the Vice President of AWOL.
I am the Director of Member Retention and Community Engagement.
All right. So my office is, I'm a very proud advisor to 3 large student organizations. But the main thing that my office does for everyone who attends USD is we provide a pathway to active citizenship by fostering a relationship between the USD campus and the Vermillion community partners, providing USD students with worthwhile, fully immersed volunteer experiences within the local communities. The goal is to create community collaborators, which is exactly what your group is all about, who will continue to serve their communities wherever they go. So Instagram, I'm on Instagram, so if y'all are on Instagram, you can follow us there. The other thing is that if you take out your phone and if you can scan the QR code that's up here, if you don't have access to or you can't get up here, I can send this out later. But this is my USD Involved page, and where I have all of my full list of community partners that we do regular volunteering with. I'm always looking to expand that. Lastly is my contact information at the bottom of the slide. There are office handouts and my business cards on the back table. You are welcome to take one of those. So the 3 student organizations that I am the proud advisor to, number 1 is AWOL, and I'm going to let the Vice President take over and tell you just a little bit about what AWOL is, and I'll let the Community or the Engagement and Retention Director tell you a little bit more, and then we'll tell us how AWOL's enhanced your life or changed your life, or why students should join it, right? All right.
Hi folks, my name is Jordan Kelly again. I'm the Vice President of AWOL. AWOL stands for Alternative Week of Off-Campus Learning. We are a service learning organization. So what we do is we send out what we like to call alternative breaks. Those are week-long volunteer experiences. River just recently led one he'll probably tell you all about. But then we also do little day volunteer trips. We like to focus on different social issues that really impact the community we live in. But then when we take our alternative breaks out, it's about experiencing those social issues in other parts of the country and learning how they're similar and different, because here in Vermillion, we do have a large issue with unhoused populations, but it's really difficult to see that in small town communities. So when we go to places like Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, it's a lot easier to see there and to understand how to help and assist with those social issues, which we then bring back here and try to apply to our local communities. We're all about trying to get our participants to learn how to be fully involved in their community, because community is really what it's all about. They're the people that help you, and it's really important to give back where and when you can. So any area in which you are privileged, which is what we teach our participants about, where they are privileged, is where we like to try and help out, because we're able to give, so why shouldn't we? Is that good?
That was fabulous. How has AWOL changed your life, and what have you, talk a little bit about your leadership in AWOL?
Yeah, so I actually started my freshman year with what is now called NYCE, but when I did it, it was called Serve and Learn. So I came to campus a week early, and I got to get to volunteer in and around Vermillion, and also I got to know campus a lot better. So by the time my first day of freshman classes rolled around, I was an old pro at this. I knew everybody, I knew Vermillion, and it made me feel so much better and more comfortable. So then my freshman year, I went to New Orleans focusing on, what was it? It was in like environmental restoration. Sorry.
It was a big word.
Yeah, but basically I got to work with Common Ground Relief in New Orleans, which started after Hurricane Katrina as a way to help families in the lower 9th Ward, which was left very unprepared and wasn't very helped by our government. So the community itself saw that, stood up, formed Common Ground, and helped people where they needed. And it started out as just the local community, and now Common Ground Relief is focusing on wetland restoration and improving the environment, and they do so much. I still get letters from them every Christmas with a new magnet, and it's really impressive to see the work that they do. But I think one of the most impressive things about my experience in AWOL is all the people I've gotten to meet. That's really what it's all about for me. Like, yes, I do love the volunteer experiences, but while I was down in New Orleans, I met this really amazing guy named Gary. I don't know his last name, but Gary is so passionate about wetland restoration and the Louisiana iris. I didn't know anything about that when I got down there, and his stories and the way he was so passionate about what he did really impacted me. And every single time I've gone on an AWOL experience, I have met someone new who has shaped the way I lived my life. And I don't think that I would be the person I am today with my passion for volunteering and getting to know people without the experiences that AWOL has been able to offer me.
Thank you. River.
AWOL to me is one of the best student organizations on campus for retention of members and getting new members. I'm sure a lot of you guys understand the difficulties with bringing in new members and more importantly keeping them there. NYCE that we do now that Jordan was talking about is a really big part of that. So these freshmen, they're coming into college all over the country. They're coming to South Dakota. A lot of these guys are from South Dakota area, Minnesota, Midwest, but they don't know Vermillion as a whole like we know Vermillion. So they don't know the issues, and that is a really important factor to focus on for these guys because they're young, they're not really sure what they're getting into too much, and if you don't know your community in college, you're not going to enjoy your experience, you're not going to be able to support that community that when it comes to that, we are bringing these guys to all different types of opportunities. When I went through Serve and Learn, or it's NYCE now, we went to the community garden, volunteered there for the entire day, just pulling weeds for people. We ended up going to the prairie, doing prairie restoration, gathering seedlings, and drying out seeds. All different types of work, not just environmental health. We were doing Alan's Bed Bank, which is another big one. Alan's Bed Bank, we're going around, grab beds, bring them in all types of communities. People don't really realize the housing situation in Vermillion, and that was one of our big goals during NYC was, hey, this is the place that you're coming into, this is how you can help. Please continue to help. After you get past that stage, people start getting a little bit more interested in AWOL. They start wanting to do things like weekend trips. Weekend trips are very quick. That's in our community still, a little bit further out. We start moving to places like Sioux Falls, Yankton a little bit. We take those guys out for a day, show them what it's like, show them a particular issue. But again, it's a lot of the same things. It's going to be food insecurity, housing insecurity, things like that. A lot of these Midwestern towns, I'm sure you guys know, a lot of them struggle with the same issues. It doesn't change too much unless you go really far. That's where we get to our week-long breaks. Those week-long breaks has to be some little sacrifice. I've seen very greedy little freshmen in college do. They're giving away their own money a week of their Christmas break to drive in a hot van. It's not comfortable. You're getting banged around in a van that's filled with people. You're driving across the country just to give up your time and volunteer for other people. And you are really opening yourself up in that moment and making yourself vulnerable. I've seen a lot of people that haven't spoken a word since NYCE. They moved into the breaks, suddenly they're really talking to people. They're getting engaged because they found something that they really care about. And on those breaks, we tend to move out a little bit more. Like I said before, the Midwestern area, doing housing, doing food access, very important. But people understand that eventually. And then you need to start almost forcing people to mature a little bit in their mindset about the world and the different issues there are. I'm currently getting my bachelor's in pre-med. I would like to go to medical school someday. The trip that me and my friend Jacob led to Fort Worth, Dallas area was entirely focused on having public health care access. That is not as much of an issue, and this area is an issue. But you get to the Fort Worth area, and you start to realize how many people don't have insurance in that area, and how that's skewed closer to the northern states. It is insane. And a lot of these kids, and to no fault of their own, why would you care about a city all the way across the country? You have your own, it's reasonable. But you're forcing yourself to adopt a different mindset that's oftentimes very uncomfortable, oftentimes you don't understand. One of our community partners was Steps with Horses. Steps with Horses runs a group of therapy courses, mostly for veterans, and then children with learning disabilities. That was one of the weirdest experiences in my life. I was expecting a lot of things, but when we went there and cleaned out horse stalls for 8 hours, we got told how they go through therapy with these horses and all the different independent programs that they run around it, and just the expanse that they can help. I was so happy in that moment that I was able to bring a group of 12 people that just happened to move from the Midwest to Texas for a week and just really help. A lot of what we talked about was helping these larger groups with things that are on their background, basically. Things that they haven't been able to get to because they have dedicated their entire life, their entire service. A lot of these guys are not getting paid very much money because it's volunteer work. There's not too much money coming in those organizations. So if you can spend 8, 10, sometimes even 12 hours on one of those days during a break trip and just help them clean out the stall that they didn't realize that they had. Help clean out some of the shelves that they just have been putting off for almost a year. We were finding newspapers from 2016, 2015. Just cleaning out very old areas just because they don't have time, because they're doing something that's a lot bigger than themselves. So it's just really important. Of course, it's my job a little bit more, but it's really important to almost force the people that want to be doing this into a situation where they have to grow. Otherwise, they won't be able to continue to grow.
I have to tell you the growth that I've seen in these two individuals as well as the advisor in this position for 2 years. Their thought process, their planning, their organization, their speaking skills, how they mentor other students is really remarkable. So neither of them talked about the leadership in AWOL, but honestly, the leadership for me as the advisor, watching that happen and watching the growth is priceless, honestly. So
I got something on that. Last year, I was able to lead a trip to Nashville, focusing on community development, kind of a general term. We got to work with a lot of different people. And like River was saying, volunteering is not glamorous. A lot of it is getting things off the back burner. So my participants, we had a very specific way we were expecting to do things when we went into this one volunteer location. It was a homemade animal hospital, kind of, and we were expecting to be doing a lot of work with the animals, and we ended up cleaning out the medical shelf for about 8 hours and building turtle rehab little mats. And the growth I saw in my participants is what made me so excited about what we were doing, because I planned that trip. I spent a lot of time on that. I knew what I was doing and what we were getting into, but seeing my participants and the way they went from not knowing a lot about it and not feeling very happy with what they were doing to the end of the day sitting around the dinner table talking about how important sitting on that floor cleaning out those labels was very impressive. And the leadership and what we do is important, but I think the most important thing about what we do as site leaders is giving our participants the opportunity to learn and grow, and the way you see it is just amazing. I'm an education major, obviously I love seeing people learn, but the way that these freshmen move, I had River when he was a freshman for Serve and Learn. And seeing him grow from that into what he is now, very impressive.
Settle down. No, he was.
We've done a lot of really good work with AWOL, and you will see it in every single person you meet in our club.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I can't thank you both enough for coming today. I couldn't have done this myself. I can't tell you what it's like from the student perspective, but I can tell you that we are always, AWOL is always looking for other ways to partner with groups and to do other bigger events in the community. So these students are down for it. So all you have to do, I have contact information coming up on a slide later, but all you have to do is reach out to AWOL and we will partner. Yes, Deb?
Can I have just a quick question? So, Jordan, you said you came a week before your freshman year.
Yep.
How did you find out about that? Like,
It was in at the bottom of an email I was getting like when I was a senior in high school about like the different opportunities, and one of them was AWOL Serve and Learn. And the thing that drew me to it was I got to move in a week early, so avoid the freshman rush for only $70. And I was like, steal. And now here I am 3 years later, vice president.
and then my second question is, about recruiting. Now,
Yeah, definitely NYCE is a really big part of it. I also
All-member meetings too, right? All-member.
And it was like, okay, I'm really bored. It's summertime. I just quit my job. Might as well move in early and meet some extra people. We have moved from that to almost actively recruiting people, partnering with organizations such as the Honors Organization, almost piggybacking a little bit at the start of much larger organizations on campus, and making sure that we are informing as many seniors in high school as possible that NYC is doing. Because like I was saying, it almost moves in different stages, and they're pretty well-defined stages, and it's hard to break into the next one without having a proper experience in the prior. So you got to start people young a little bit. Another big thing that we do is table. So org fair, we go in the Munster University Center, sit at the table, basically try to tell as many people that pass by that are willing to listen what we do, why we do it, and how they can get involved. And our growth rate this year especially has been exponential. I'd say
It's tripled. It's tripled. It's tripled in 2 years, so.
On our part, but at the same time, there's been a lot of effort on our participants' part. People are willing to get involved, and honestly, the fact that people are willing to sacrifice their own time, their own resources, and their own sanity in a lot of situations really makes me happy to be part of it.
Another thing we've been doing that we kind of started doing this year is all-member meetings. So generally, like in the past, we've just had the alternative weekends and the alternative breaks, and outside of that, AWOL didn't really do a whole lot because we were spending so much time focusing on that. So this year we started in all-member meetings where if you've ever done anything in AWOL, or if you're with a friend who's ever done anything in AWOL, you get to come, hang out, see all of your friends again. And it's a nice way to get and reconnect with people. And like River was saying, we also partner with other orgs. So we just partnered with sustainability.
Yep, sustainability, and then some of those all-member meetings. It's kind of up to me. It's hard to get a lot of volunteer opportunities. It's hard to get a group of 80 people to be able to volunteer on one thing. But one of the big ones we did pretty early on that increased our membership by a lot was we made tie blankets for a homeless shelter in Yankton. We made probably upwards of 80 tie blankets. I'd say probably 300 pounds, so I carried them to Yankton. And that was just an amazing opportunity. The energy in the air, you get 80 to 100 people all working on the same goal, same task, knowing what they're doing, knowing how to do it. We have YouTube videos pulled up everywhere, a bunch of scissors were
Nobody was running with those scissors, though. We sat everybody down.
But we produced so many blankets in that time, and then managed to get them to that Yankton shelter before the first snowfall. It was one of the most coordinated volunteer movements I've ever seen. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Y'all are the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So there's a reason why AWOL happens to be listed at the top of the slide, and it's because AWOL is different from other student organizations on campus. They are actually a student-led portion or division of my office. They have their own banner code, and they have their own budget that's specifically allocated for them that's underneath my office budget. So they have much more advisor interactions. I do sort of like the secretarial and the business side of things for them, so that we look legit as far as emails going out, communications, applications, fees being applied to students' accounts, things like that. My job prior to becoming the assistant director for the Office of Service Learning and Community Engagement was the recruiter for the School of Education. So if there's one thing I know how to do, it's how to get people excited about something and to recruit people. So one of the first things when I took over in May of 23 was asked the existing executive board, hey, do you want to roll forward with what's happening now? Or I have some ideas. And they were like, yeah, no, let's hear it. And so just shared some things with them, but I do not get the credit for that. Like, they picked up the ball and went with it. And this new group, my new executive board now this year, has just embellished that and lifted it to levels I really had never anticipated. So everybody on campus knows AWOL. AWOL has a lot of street cred now, so I'm really proud, like I said, to be their advisor. NYCE, or New Yotes Community Engagement, is something that we gave it a glow up this last summer. And many of you I have reached out to, or we've partnered with, in order to get the students acclimated to the community. So for instance, we went down to Thursdays on the plots. We partnered with a lot of the community partners in town, including the food pantry, United Way, to get the students volunteering right away and acclimated to the community. So yeah, so AWOL is literally 50% of my job, and I am so happy that it is. And then there's also USD Serve. There's several different branches, there's 7 actually. And this is specific about enhancing Vermillion. There are Adopt a School, Big Pal, Little Pal, Adopt a Grandparent, Heroes, Food Network Recovery, Bridges, and variations of volunteering. What Serve helps students do is connect to regular volunteering that they can kind of sign up for on a regular basis around their student schedule. So yes, they're part of a student organization, but they're not part of a student organization. There's not a lot of commitment other than signing up for their volunteering. And then we have Decodathon. They specifically raise funds for Children's Miracle Network, but what's important to know about that is it stays here, y'all. It doesn't go across the country. It specifically serves our kids who may need that medical service at Sanford Children's Hospital. Lastly, coming soon is Sleep in Heavenly Peace. My office is working with this chapter down in Sioux City to bring this service to Vermillion on a regular basis, and I happen to have an amazing group of students who could not be here today, but they are on the core team and they are starting a student organization, and I am so proud they've asked me to be their advisor. But this is new beds specifically just for kids ages 3 to 17. We do not service anybody outside of that age range, and so it partners nicely with a service that we already have here in Vermillion, which is called Allen's Bed Bank. Allen's Bed Bank provides beds for adults, but this is brand new beds for kids. And so these students are going to be organizing it, they're going to be recruiting, they're going to be hosting bed builds, all different kinds of things. So Sleep in Heavenly Peace is in Sioux City. If you do a simple Google search, their chapter will come up and you can check them out. But that is coming here soon to Vermillion. So although my office is the advisor to all of these students who do their own things, my office also organizes big, what I call one-offs or day of service events that are open to all students on campus, and I like to partner with all of the community partners, and so I'm always looking for more. One of the things that we do is days of service events. So for instance, these are events on campus to educate and provide a service activity as part of the programming. Recently, we just did Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We also have National Volunteering Month, where I organize all kinds of things in the muck pit or in the community that they can get involved in. Earth Day or Earth Week, I partner with Greening Vermillion to be able to embellish some of that programming. And then 9/11 Day is also another one that we really focus on. So with the one-offs, the community partner or groups contact me, or maybe I'm in conversation and they're like, hey, we have this thing coming up and we would kind of like to, we need some volunteers for it. Can you help us out? Or the United Way volunteer coordinator might get a hold of me and say, hey, we have these things, A, B, C, and D, we really need volunteers for this. My office organizes the sign-up, the ethical volunteer training, vehicle reservation, and communications for the entire experience, and I post that on my USD Involved page, which students know to go there, and they click the link, they sign up, and I get them there. So basically, I connect the students to any type of volunteering opportunities within the community. So these both help the students fulfill volunteer hours that they need for a class or a degree program without joining a specific student organization, or maybe they can't commit themselves on a regular basis. Some of these double major students, or some students have to work a full-time job almost outside of having 16 to 18 credits a semester. So signing up for a regular volunteering opportunity just isn't in their wheelhouse. This is an opportunity for them to do all the things and not have a big commitment. So these are some images from Allen's Bed Bank and our Martin Luther King, and then one of the big that we organized going over to Heartland Humane Society. So this was a big event that my office just organized with the collaboration of multiple departments and student organizations, and we brought Feed the Funnel to Vermillion. This was an Office of Service Learning big event. We had a meal packing party. So we had music playing, the students signed up. We had over 200 volunteers from across campus and the Vermillion community, and we packaged 25,000 meals that were equally distributed between Charlie's Cupboard and Feeding Vermillion. This was a collaboration between my office, Sorority and Fraternity Life, AWOL, Charlie's Cupboard, SGA. I'm like trying to think. It was just amazing. And the Vermillion community and the VCDC. So we did utilize a grant. My office wrote a grant and we got funding for that. But then it was so by AmeriCorps and 9/11 Day. But then it was also financially funded by SGA and Charlie's Cupboard. Plans, we are making this an annual event, so we will be doing some form of Feed the Funnel each year. So this was a great way for students to really understand the social issue of food insecurity and how important it is to serve your local community. Emmanuel, actually, I worked with him very closely with like how's this gonna work, where are we storing this stuff, all of that good stuff. So, but it was a really good feeling to be able to, we packaged rice and beans, Southwest chili style rice and beans meals for really good tasting meals for families. So, questions about the big event? So a little bit deeper about AWOL. Like I said, they are a service learning group that provides an alternative way of learning about social injustices, and that's what AWOL stands for, is Alternative Way of Learning. We focus on social issues, nonprofit community partners who provide resources, and life skills and emotional intelligence. These are the things that I train the executive board and the site leaders. They take their training and they mentor the other members on all of these areas as well. We also provide students with leadership opportunities, so that's important to know. We have executive board, and we have executive board committees. Just since August of 2023, so I took over in May of 23, I really kind of got my feet on the ground with what was Serve and Learn, now is NYCE, in August of 23. So since then, AWOL has completed 2,753 service hours just in Vermillion alone, with the average value of a volunteer hour being $33.49, that's $92,000 over that we have saved the Vermillion nonprofits by giving up our time and coming in and helping to serve the community. So AWOL is always looking for more community partners to work with and more volunteering opportunities. You can follow them on Facebook or Instagram. It is just USD AWOL, either place. And their email is awol@coyotes.usd.edu. But if you want to partner with them, or if you'd like to include them or get their thoughts, have them set up something for their members to come do volunteering, they're open to it. What questions do you have for me? Yes?
Does your program extend to the summertime?
Great question. We do not. We don't. We're looking at a couple of opportunities with the community garden, and then also there's an individual who does his own growing and does a lot of supplying fruits and vegetables to the Feeding Vermillion. And so we are talking about that. We have some international students who are around during the summer, and so we're in talks with that, so laying the groundwork for that. That's a great question. It's tough because there's not really a lot of students around in the summertime, but like I said, we are discovering more and more undergraduate international students that we have studying here who are getting their bachelor's degree. So they're not just coming for a semester or two, but they're actually staying for their whole bachelor's experience, so they are here in the summertime. So yes, great question. Yes, Deb?
You know, Jordan talked about going to New Orleans, and I feel like other times I've heard you talk, and there's different, you know, Fort Worth, whatever. How do you decide, or how do they decide where they're going to go and when?
Great question. So this next year, for 2026, the trips will be over spring break. And that is because we have decided that we really want to use the fall semester to properly train and help everybody to plan their trips out, just get everybody ready. And it always gets a little dicey with how it falls around the holidays, getting them out after the semester ends and getting them back home before those who celebrate Christmas. So we just decided to move it to spring break time. They actually get to decide the location. There's a process for that. When they apply to become a site leader, they go through an interview process, and then they're chosen, and then they're paired with another site leader, and those two site leaders have to submit their first proposal before the end of May. And that is, what is their social issue they're going to focus on, and the location. And I ask for at least two different locations, and then they meet with me and the executive board, and we discuss it back and forth, and then we decide for them, like, finally between those two places. That's for the breaks. The alternative weekends are usually in Vermillion, and Yankton. We go to Sioux City and Sioux Falls a little bit, but not much. It's usually right here in the area, and that again is their social issue, and then they need to look up and discover who are all the community partners or nonprofits that provide resources around that social issue, and then they work with those community partners to line that up. So, great question. Anybody else? I cannot thank you enough for having me. My business card is back there. Please reach out if you have any questions, or you'd like to partner with my office for volunteering opportunities, or just community engagement in general. So, have a great day, and go Yotes!
All right, thank you so much. And like April said, her business cards, and then there's like a little flyer back there on the table. So pick one up as you drop your name badges off on the way out.